Did you know that over 60 countries have issued or faced travel warnings in just the past year alone? And among them, 10 specific nations are quietly becoming no-go zones for Australians. We're not talking about inconvenient travel, we're talking about detainments, political hostility, surveillance, and real danger. Shocking, right? You might think, why would any country not welcome Australians? After all, we're known for being friendly, easygoing, and respectful travelers. But global politics have changed the game. From rising nationalism to diplomatic breakdowns, Australians are suddenly being caught in the middle of situations they never asked for, and in places they once felt completely safe. So before you book that next overseas trip, watch closely, because the country that tops this list, you probably never expected it. And trust us, by the end of this video, you'll think twice about where you stamp your passport in 2025. Number 10. North Korea. North Korea is arguably the most isolated nation on Earth, and in 2025, it's one of the most unwelcoming places for Australian travelers. While technically possible to visit through tightly controlled guided tours, entry is restricted, highly monitored, and risky, especially for Westerners. Australians in particular have found themselves in delicate diplomatic positions due to historical tensions and the country's sensitivity to foreign influence. The Australian government advises against all travel to North Korea, citing the potential for arbitrary detention and the lack of access to consular help. The regime enforces extreme surveillance with no freedom to explore independently. Every interaction is staged and recorded, and even minor missteps, such as taking photos of the wrong monument or speaking critically about the government, can lead to imprisonment. In recent years, Australia's vocal stance on North Korea's nuclear program and human rights violations has not gone unnoticed, and that tension spills over into how Australian tourists are perceived, even during guided visits. Essentially, travellers are expected to behave more like silent observers than tourists, often navigating a constant undercurrent of fear and scrutiny. Beyond the physical danger, there's a moral and ethical layer to consider. Visiting North Korea is controversial in itself, as tourism dollars can be seen as funding a repressive regime. Australians travelling to North Korea in 2025 not only face physical risks, but also the ethical dilemma of supporting a dictatorship notorious for censorship, oppression, and militarization. In summary, unless you're part of a sanctioned diplomatic or humanitarian mission, North Korea is a country best admired from afar for safety, politics, and principle. Number 9. Afghanistan. Afghanistan, once a destination of rugged beauty and cultural depth, has become one of the most inaccessible and dangerous places for Australians in 2025. Since the Taliban's return to power, the country has experienced a collapse of civil institutions, ongoing internal conflict, and a resurgence of extremist groups. The Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, DFAT, maintains a strict do not travel advisory for Australians, citing extreme risks including terrorism, kidnappings, and lack of embassy support. Unlike past decades where adventurous travellers sought out its ancient landscapes, today's Afghanistan is a region where safety and predictability are virtually non-existent. For Australians, the risk is not just theoretical, it's been proven in recent years. There have been confirmed cases of foreigners being detained or used as leverage in political conflicts. Australians may be perceived as symbols of Western military involvement or intelligence, which increases the chances of hostility or even targeted aggression. The lack of a functioning legal system or international cooperation makes it nearly impossible to get help if something goes wrong. Even humanitarian organizations that once operated under international mandates have either withdrawn or faced daily threats, leaving little infrastructure to support foreign nationals in distress. Furthermore, the cultural and ideological disconnect between modern Australia and Taliban-led Afghanistan is profound. Basic rights such as freedom of expression, women's rights, and religious tolerance are suppressed, creating a jarring contrast for any Australian visitor. Even if you could technically enter, every moment would be shadowed by severe restrictions, potential violence, and an environment where foreigners are unwelcome. Simply put, Afghanistan in 2025 is not a place where Australians, or most of the world, can travel safely or responsibly. Number 8. Iran. Iran, a nation known for its ancient history, stunning architecture, and warm people, is unfortunately a complex and often hostile environment for Australians in 2025. While not officially closed off, Iran's relationship with Australia and the broader Western world has deteriorated significantly over the last few years. Diplomatic tensions, particularly surrounding nuclear programs, human rights criticisms, and international sanctions, have fueled a nationalistic environment where Westerners, including Australians, may be viewed with suspicion. Travellers risk being caught in the crossfire of political mistrust, where even innocent actions like photography or conversations can be misinterpreted as espionage or dissent. There have been alarming reports of Australian citizens being detained without clear cause, held in solitary confinement, and denied access to legal counsel. These aren't just hypotheticals. They are real incidents that have made headlines. The Iranian government does not recognise dual citizenship, meaning that Australians with Iranian heritage may face even more complications, including being tried as Iranian citizens under strict local laws. The risk of being used as a political pawn or bargaining chip is disturbingly high. Even journalists or academic visitors have faced imprisonment, often under vague charges like propaganda against the state or collaboration with hostile nations. Beyond safety, the day-to-day experience for Australians in Iran has grown increasingly restrictive. Surveillance is common, internet access is heavily censored, and interacting with locals can put both parties at risk. While many Iranians are kind, curious, and welcoming, the political climate has cast a heavy shadow over tourism. For Australians in 2025, Iran represents a place of cultural richness, but also one of real danger, unpredictable legal systems, and diplomatic silence in times of crisis. Number 7. Syria. Syria remains one of the most volatile and dangerous countries in the world, and in 2025, it's categorically unwelcoming to Australians and practically all Western nationals. The nation has endured over a decade of brutal civil war, leading to the collapse of governance, infrastructure, and public safety. Although some regions are under tighter control, the overall situation is far from stable, with the risk of airstrikes, roadside bombings, and extremist violence still looming over daily life. For Australians, entering Syria without official clearance is not only illegal, but potentially life-threatening. The Australian government advises against all travel, citing extreme safety and legal risks. There is also a significant concern around arbitrary detention and targeting of foreign nationals. Australians who travel to Syria, whether for journalism, humanitarian reasons, or personal curiosity, face the possibility of being viewed as spies or political threats. There have been past cases of foreigners being imprisoned without trial, used in prisoner exchanges, or held incommunicado by either the Assad regime or armed militia groups. Consular access is virtually impossible, and in many regions, no foreign government has reliable influence to intervene if things go wrong. It's not just about avoiding war zones. Syria is a fragmented state where the rule of law varies from street to street. Even if the traveller's intentions are noble, the optics of a Westerner entering Syria can trigger suspicion, resentment, or worse. The country's economy is devastated, its people traumatized, and its borders unstable. For Australians in 2025, Syria represents an intense combination of geopolitical danger, human rights violations, and the absence of safety nets. No matter how adventurous or well prepared a traveler might be, Syria is not the place to explore today. Number 6. Yemen. Yemen, once celebrated for its stunning architecture and ancient history, has become one of the most dangerous and inaccessible countries in the world, especially for Australians in 2025. Years of civil war, foreign intervention, famine, and disease have turned the country into a humanitarian disaster zone. The conflict between the Houthi rebels and the internationally recognized government has fractured Yemen into warlord-controlled territories where no central authority can guarantee safety. As a result, the Australian government strongly advises against all travel to Yemen. Even journalists and aid workers must navigate complex networks of armed groups, many of whom are suspicious of foreigners, particularly those from Western nations. For Australians, the dangers go far beyond general instability. Kidnappings for ransom, especially of Westerners, are tragically common. There have been numerous cases of foreign nationals being abducted and held in brutal conditions for months, sometimes years. Australians may be viewed as potential bargaining chips in the broader regional power struggle. On top of that, terrorist organizations like Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, AQAP, still maintain a presence in parts of Yemen, further amplifying the threat level. With no functioning consular support, no secure transportation infrastructure, and nearly non-existent legal protections, Australians caught in Yemen are entirely on their own. Adding to this, Yemen is facing one of the worst humanitarian crises globally. Clean water, medical supplies, and basic resources are incredibly scarce. While many Australians may feel the urge to help or explore the region's history, the reality is grim. Travelling to Yemen now would not only endanger oneself, but potentially hinder rescue or relief efforts. In 2025, Yemen is tragically not a place for visitors. It's a nation still fighting for its survival. Number 5. Pakistan. Pakistan is a country of striking contrasts, home to breathtaking mountains, rich traditions, and vibrant cultures. But for Australians in 2025, it comes with serious concerns and growing restrictions. While parts of Pakistan are open to tourism and many travellers report welcoming experiences, the truth is that several regions remain unstable or openly hostile toward foreigners. Areas like Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and parts of Sindh are high-risk zones due to militant activity, ethnic tensions, and the presence of radical groups. Australians may be subjected to intense scrutiny, denied access to certain areas, or even unknowingly enter danger zones due to the complex patchwork of tribal control and federal oversight. There's also the issue of increasing diplomatic friction. While Australia and Pakistan have maintained diplomatic ties, political shifts and global realignments have led to less transparency and more cautious treatment of Westerners. Australian passport holders may find themselves flagged for additional questioning at airports or monitored during their stay. Journalists and researchers are often required to obtain special permits, and even then, are closely watched by authorities. In the past, Australians have been mistaken for intelligence agents or accused of spreading anti-state propaganda, charges that can carry severe penalties under Pakistan's strict laws. Additionally, cultural misunderstandings can escalate quickly. Certain topics, like religion, military affairs, or politics, are taboo and can provoke serious backlash. Women travellers, in particular, face added restrictions and social pressure in many parts of the country. While Pakistan has incredible potential as a travel destination, the risks in 2025 outweigh the rewards for most Australians. Unless you have a compelling and well-protected reason to go, this is one destination where caution isn't just advised, it's essential. We put heart, hours, and hard truth into every video so you don't have to learn the hard way. Got a thought, a travel story, or a country we missed? Tell us in the comments. We read them all. And hey, subscribing is just one click. but it means the world to us. Love sparkles. Number 4. Libya. Libya, once known for its Roman ruins and Mediterranean charm, has become a fractured and perilous nation where Australians are strongly discouraged from setting foot in 2025. Since the fall of Muammar Gaddafi, the country has descended into chaos, with multiple rival governments, tribal militias, and extremist factions vying for control. This ongoing instability has led to widespread lawlessness, violent clashes, and a near-total collapse of public services. For Australians, there are no functioning consulates, no reliable embassies, and no diplomatic safety net, just a vast expanse of unpredictable territory and escalating threats. What makes Libya especially dangerous is the lack of a unified authority. Even in the capital, Tripoli, there are frequent reports of armed groups detaining foreigners for questioning or ransom. Australians, particularly those perceived as affiliated with Western politics or media, are viewed with suspicion or hostility. There have been documented cases of foreign nationals being kidnapped, imprisoned without due process, and even caught in targeted attacks. The presence of extremist groups, like ISIS-affiliated factions in southern and central Libya, only worsens the security situation. Movement is restricted, border crossings are unreliable, and air travel is irregular and often unregulated. On top of physical danger, travelers also face serious legal and ethical risks. The Libyan justice system is dysfunctional, and the use of violence to settle disputes is not uncommon. Even photographing government buildings or local infrastructure can be misinterpreted as espionage. While the allure of Libya's untouched historical sites might tempt adventurous spirits, the reality in 2025 is stark. Libya is not a travel destination. It's a high-risk zone where Australians are not only unwelcome, but genuinely unsafe. Number 3. Venezuela. Venezuela, a country of extraordinary natural beauty and once Latin America's richest nation, has sadly become a place of economic collapse, political unrest, and civil instability, making it highly unsafe for Australians in 2025. Although it's not officially closed to tourism, the situation on the ground tells a very different story. Hyperinflation, violent crime, and anti-foreign sentiment make daily life dangerous for visitors, especially those from countries viewed as politically aligned with the West. Australians may be seen not just as outsiders, but as symbols of foreign interference or capitalist critique, which can provoke hostility in a region already plagued by deep divisions. For Australians travelling to Venezuela, the risks are multi-layered. The country has one of the highest crime rates in the world, with armed robberies, carjackings, and kidnappings occurring frequently, even in daylight and urban areas. Law enforcement is unreliable, often corrupt, and in many cases complicit in criminal activity. The legal system offers little recourse for foreigners, and if you're caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, there's a real possibility of being detained or extorted. In the past, travellers have reported being followed, harassed, or arbitrarily arrested without explanation. Access to healthcare, emergency services, or even clean water is inconsistent at best. Adding to this is Venezuela's growing digital surveillance and mistrust of media. Tourists using cameras, drones, or even smartphones can be accused of espionage. Journalists or researchers are especially at risk, but even casual visitors can become targets. While the country still offers glimpses of its stunning landscapes, from Angel Falls to Caribbean beaches, these are overshadowed by the dangerous political climate and economic despair. For Australians in 2025, Venezuela is a place best admired from afar, not explored on foot. Number 2. Russia. Russia, a vast and historically rich nation, has seen its relationship with the West, especially countries like Australia, grow increasingly strained in recent years. As of 2025, the fallout from ongoing geopolitical conflicts, including the war in Ukraine and retaliatory sanctions has led to a cold and cautious stance toward Western travellers. Australians visiting Russia now face a complex web of bureaucratic hurdles, heightened surveillance, and a palpable atmosphere of suspicion. Even those coming for tourism or business must tread carefully, as the political environment has turned sharply inward, casting a wary eye on foreigners. One of the most alarming developments has been the rise in detentions and interrogations of Western nationals under vague accusations like violating visa rules or suspicious activity. Australians, particularly those with ties to government, media, or NGOs, may be flagged or even held without due process. Travellers report being followed, questioned repeatedly, or having their digital devices searched without consent. Australia's strong support for Ukraine and its sanctions against Russian individuals and entities have fueled resentment, making Aussies more visible and vulnerable targets. Embassies and consulates can offer limited help, but even diplomatic channels have been strained or closed in some areas. Additionally, navigating day-to-day life in Russia has become more difficult. Language barriers, currency restrictions, limited flights, and unpredictable law enforcement all contribute to a tense and uncomfortable experience. Even cultural exchanges, once celebrated, have become politicized. In 2025, Russia is not just challenging logistically, it's ideologically at odds with many Australian values, creating a deep divide that travellers will feel the moment they arrive. For now, the risks far outweigh the rewards, making it one of the least welcoming countries for Australians today. Number 1. China. Topping the list at number 1 is China, a nation that was once a key partner for Australia in trade, education, and tourism. But in 2025, it has become one of the most diplomatically tense and complex countries for Australians to navigate. Over the past several years, relations between the two nations have soured significantly due to issues like cybersecurity accusations, political interference claims, and Australia's strong alliances with Western powers. What was once a booming tourism and business corridor is now marked by visa rejections, surveillance, and a growing atmosphere of distrust. For Australians, visiting China today means entering a space where every move might be monitored and every word could be misinterpreted. Reports of Australian citizens being detained or interrogated have surfaced in recent years, often for reasons that remain vague or politically motivated. Dual citizens are particularly at risk, as China does not recognise dual nationality and may treat such individuals solely as Chinese citizens under its law, cutting them off from Australian diplomatic support. Journalists, researchers, and business professionals have all faced barriers or been banned outright, sometimes accused of spreading foreign influence or endangering national security. Even tourists have found themselves questioned over photos, digital content, or simple conversations. It's no longer uncommon to hear of visitors having phones searched or hotel rooms monitored. Beyond the legal and political risks, there is also a noticeable nationalist sentiment on the rise, with many locals suspicious of Westerners, particularly in sensitive areas like Xinjiang or Hong Kong. Even in major cities, Australians may find themselves avoided, questioned, or treated with subtle hostility. In 2025, China presents not just a logistical challenge for Australian travellers, but a diplomatic and ideological minefield. One where caution, restraint, and constant awareness are absolutely essential. Travel has always been about exploration, connection, and understanding different ways of life. But in today's world, being informed is just as important as being adventurous. The countries we've discussed aren't about creating fear. They're about sharing facts that could protect your safety, your freedom, and your peace of mind. In 2025, global politics, security risks, and shifting international relations have made certain destinations complicated or even dangerous for Australians to visit. That doesn't mean we should stop exploring the world. It means we should do so wisely, with our eyes open. In many cases, the risks are political, not personal. The people of these countries may still be warm and welcoming, but when governments tighten control or conflict erupts, even the most curious traveler can get caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's not just about what you see, it's about what you can't control. So whether you're a seasoned explorer or planning your first overseas trip, remember, travel smart, stay informed, and always check government advisories before booking a ticket. Because sometimes the most powerful travel decision is the one you choose not to make.